I had a few ideas for how to title this video, and I'm not sure yet which one I will go for, because I think what I want to talk about today kind of crosses over into a few problems that I became aware of within the whole healing world and self-improvement world. And so I'm not sure if I want to call this yet healing as an antidote to living, or what healing has to do with female disempowerment, or something along the lines of the traps of the healing world. It's interesting because I was aware, like consciously aware of this particular trap, but I didn't really know how it feels to be caught in this trap or what it really looks like. And so I didn't think that it was affecting me or that I am affected by it. That's a bit brighter. There is this huge disparity in the self-help, self-healing, self-improvement world that I've personally observed, whereby there is once... Why is there so much noise? Every single time I talk and I record a video, I become so acutely aware of the noise in my house. One side of the story of that disparity is kind of like this hustle culture of, you know, achieve things, go after things, fill up your life with experiences and do and go. Which to an extent has, I think, caused so much anxiety amongst young people especially, whereby, and I'm one of them, whereby you feel like you need to save the world. You know, you need to do something absolutely great, and you need to achieve so much, and you need to be someone other than yourself almost in the world. And it's almost like there's an approach of kind of almost like breaking yourself in half and like reconstructing who you are entirely to be able to do those things. And then there is the other side of the story that I found myself in recently that I do lean more towards, but the point of this video is that I'm trying to find the middle ground, a healthy middle ground. So the other side of the story is this whole emerging trauma healing world where you sit with every experience that you're having in your body, in your mind, and you process your trauma, and there's a lot of that. That's the kind of the self-healing, or not necessarily self-healing, but healing part of the argument. That has been the most life-changing thing for me so far. You know, being able to recognize how my nervous system works and how much it has been affected by so many adversities in my life. Recognizing and seeing the effects of being able to sit with myself and not get overwhelmed by all these different emotions and sensations and thoughts that I've always had. Essentially learning self-regulation, emotional regulation. And also at the same time being able to help other people do the same. The problem with that has become such that I became trapped in the idea that if I do enough healing, my life will just be good, and my life will just suddenly, like, everything will work out and I'll be happy. I've become also aware that there's actually a few people, at the very least in my environment, that fell into the same trap. I started to think, oh my God, how many people that are in this kind of self-help space and this healing and self-improvement space who are like that. More specifically, what I'm referring to is, what I recognized is that a lot of these people, and they're mostly women, because most of the people who are in this sort of space are women. Most women, the biggest problem that I've seen women struggle with really is disempowerment. And I think it's very much a cultural thing, and I think it's also partially our nature, you know, because we are child bearers, and And so there is like a need to depend on another person, usually a man. But I think also culturally, you know, we were simply not allowed to work for a long time, not allowed to vote, not allowed to do anything. And so I think there is a lot of that generational stuff going on as well. But I think women are still recovering from that. And what I've noticed is that there's a tendency, I'm not saying that that's every woman, for sure not, and I think it is changing now, but there is still a tendency. Women simply are sitting and waiting to be saved and for their lives to magically turn around and be better. And I'm not going to sit here and say that that's not right and, you know, women shouldn't be doing that, because I'm not everyone, I'm just myself. I guess my question is, does that serve you? If you are like that, if you are suffering and you are simply waiting for that suffering to end and not actually taking any specific action towards ending that suffering yourself, does that work for you? If it doesn't, and you realize that, oh my gosh, I've been in this space for a long time, you know, there's so many women, again, mostly just because women are mostly the ones in this space. I'm not saying men don't do this work, but that's mostly who I interact with. There's a lot of women who have been in this whole space for a long time, myself included. And I think that has been a really massive thinking pattern that I've developed throughout the time I've been in this space, whereby I think that I need to heal myself before I essentially live a life. And a part of that problem is that I actually don't know what life I want to live. I don't know what sort of lifestyle I want to have. I don't know what I want my everyday to look like. And that's the disempowerment bit that I was referring to. Women, generally speaking, I think, don't feel like they have power to actually have control over their lives. And that is why so many women end up in marriages where men don't seem to respect them or value them or treat them as someone who deserves a rest and a break and have their own ambitions and goals. Mostly because I don't think women themselves know what they want. And I'm not saying that that's like, you know, oh, you should just, you know, figure out what you want. I'm saying that it's something that we, I think, collectively need to look at. And for myself, it's something that I still have to unpack, because I only became aware of it relatively recently. I think life has magically put me in situations where I was actually forced to look at that in the face and realize I'm blaming everyone around me for how bad my life is. But I don't actually know what I want my life to look like. And taking it back to the whole healing space, I'm constantly doing this healing work and doing all these practices and readings and trying to learn more about myself. But why am I doing it all? And when will I decide that I've done enough of it? And I think that's the question of intention, right? Like, why am I coming to do this work? Am I doing this work because I want to expand my capacity? I want to expand my experiences. I want to experience more. Or am I in the space because I feel broken? And I think that I need to do enough of this work so that finally I'm fixed. And finally my life will just be good. When I said about, you know, those two, that disparity between, you know, go culture of like just experience lots of things and be someone and create impact and all of that, versus more of like a yin energy space of let's just heal and be with our emotions. I think there needs to be a middle ground whereby we do learn how to feel our emotions and we learn how to regulate our emotions, and we can work through the traumatic imprints from the past, but we don't get stuck there. We don't get stuck in that constant cycle of I need to continue working on myself because I just constantly don't feel enough. and I don't feel ready enough to step into something I want to create for myself. And that is the space I am navigating right now. Like I think part of the idea for this video is to kind of mark the point where I become acutely aware of this issue in my own life. And that's kind of, from this point, that's where I'm really trying to figure out how to be able to do both. Create a vision for myself of the kind of life I want to have, all the ins and outs of my life, you know, how do I want to live? What do I want to do? What do I want to experience? And then I need to live that out. Like I need to actively do that, you know, or make every move towards that. And the feeling and the healing aspect, that's something that is just, it needs to be just a part of that journey rather than being the journey itself. And I think it's been particularly hard for me to manage those two things, because I've essentially made the healing, the spirituality, all of that stuff, I made that my job. You know, last year I've decided that that's what I'm going to do. That's my mission now. And that's what I see for myself. Like that's what I love doing. And I feel like I've become very much like enmeshed in all of this situation, whereby I couldn't draw the line anymore of where is my business, where is my life, and where is the healing part of my life. It all just became, I need to heal and heal and heal and heal, and I need to sit in sessions and I need to feel all my emotions. And I was just talking about this today with a friend / colleague of mine who's been on a kind of a similar journey, and we both recognized how much, like at the beginning, healing was improving my life. What I was doing with this work, it was genuinely improving my life. But at a certain point, my life actually started to get worse in a lot of ways. And so it can be so easy to, and I just want people to be aware of this, because it can be so easy to fall into this trap of thinking that I'm healing myself, when in fact you actually might be harming yourself if you're doing too much of it. It's like the point of what I do, like somatic work, is like the point is to listen to yourself and listen to your own needs, to be able to meet your own needs. And I think most people bypass that. You know, they sit with their anger and they're like, yeah, like I feel my anger, I can really feel it. But it's like, the anger is there for a reason. Like, it's a great thing to at first release a lot of that stored aggression and built up of anger. But anger is a vital emotion that is like an alarm system, that something is off in your environment, that is like needs to be changed, or there's a boundary that needs to be placed. And all you're going to do is sit and listen to the anger and not actually do anything to serve that anger, to serve yourself. And I think that is where a lot of the healing work needs to tend towards at this point, because otherwise we're just end up gaslighting ourselves. And I think that's what I've been doing a lot in my own journey. I've been gaslighting myself a lot, in feeling like all I need to do is just process my emotions and then my life will be great again, or you know, great, full stop. Actually, the missing piece is that empowerment piece. The missing piece is understanding and feeling my emotions, and not only the emotions themselves, but the reason they came up in the first place. You know, why am I feeling this way? What needs to happen in my life for me to really honor my feelings? Not just sit and listen to my feelings, but really honor them. So I guess what I wanted to kind of conclude this with is that if you're someone, whether you're a man or a woman, but if you're someone who's been trying to do the work for years, maybe it has helped you a lot. I'm not discounting the benefits of doing this kind of work. Like, I've experienced it myself, and that's what I also help people do, and find that inner connection to your body, to your emotions. Like, it's vital. There's no discounting that. The concern is, do you know where you're going with this? Are you postponing taking action and using this as like an avoidance thing to take action? And I guess to really understand that for yourself, just ask yourself, are you happy? You know, is the work that you're doing, is it actually making you happy, or is it attaining you the things that you actually wanted to attain, whether that be peace or better connection to yourself, feeling more safe and open in the world? Like what is the end goal here? Again, how do you want to live your life? And does what you do align with that? And this isn't something that, you know, you're going to be able to answer in one go. I mean, if you can, that means you're on the right track, right? That means you actually know what you want and you're moving in that direction, and that's great. And hopefully the whole healing and spirituality is just another way for you to expand your awareness. But if you're someone who has been kind of stuck in that loop of just constantly seeking for like another course and another program and another book, and it's constantly reaching out to find answers and solutions, and you're not really feeling that you're where you want to be in the world and in your life, that might be something to really look at. You know, how do I know where I'm actually going? Do I have plans? Do I have goals? Do I have aspirations? This is a very basic human need. That's kind of all it comes down to, is, are your basic human needs met? You know, do you have enough human connections? Do you feel safe, you know, financially, emotionally, where you are? You know, is your food and sleep and all those things, like, are they in order? This is kind of like a shifting in perception, moving away from like, I just need to heal myself, to I need to cover my needs and desires. Like, I need to do things to cover my needs and desires. And this spans across the board, you know, whether you're talking about your physical health, emotional, mental health, you talk about your relationships, your money, your career, job, where you live, you know, your hobbies. Like, it's about everything. So just be aware of this trap that we can as humans fall into, whereby we start to avoid and thinking that, you know, oh, until I've done that, I can't do that. Never feeling ready, you know, or feeling, and that was something big for me as well, feeling like you need to have a sign, whether it's a sign of the universe or from your intuition, or it's like, I need to wait for a sign to tell me that that's what I need to do, or that's when I need to do it. Sometimes we have to take that sovereign authority ourselves and just decide that that's what I'm going to do. And that's where we can explore, you know, how much we fear making a mistake, and how much we don't feel like we can trust ourselves, right? And that's where the healing can help. But we need to keep ourselves accountable for, am I actually doing the thing? At the end of the day, am I actually doing the thing? Am I living out the life I want to live? And if I'm not, why not? And if the answer is because I still have too much trauma, because I don't feel I can, because anything else that sort of like puts you in like that victim mode, that might be the sign that the healing that you're doing, if you've been doing it for a while now especially, it may not be the cure-all that you want it to be. I just wanted to bring this to people's awareness, because it's one of those things that, you know, I slipped into that and I didn't realize. Yes, we need to sit with our emotions and feel our emotions and learn the emotional regulation and learn to communicate with ourselves. But the aim of communicating with yourself is to make sure that your needs and desires are met, not just to sit and say, I hear you. Like, sometimes that's enough, but sometimes it's not enough. Sometimes we need to get up and do things to change the circumstances that continuously causes to feel this dysregulated way. So I hope that was helpful. I hope I didn't make you feel, you know, if I made you feel worse with these things, maybe that's also a sign that, you know, perhaps some of these things are actually resonating with you. And just give yourself a moment to really like process this, because it took me a while as well. There can be a lot of resistance to that at first, obviously, right? Because if it's an avoidance mechanism, of course your mind is going to be like, this is bullshit, you know. Of course it'll do that. That's the whole point of it being an avoidance mechanism. So just give it like a few days, give it a week, give it a couple of weeks, you know, and just let it land. And when the surface emotions will come down, then ask yourself that again, just gently, you know, is that what's happening? Do I need some radical physical change in my lifestyle? Do I need to sit with myself and have a hard conversation with myself of where am I going? I think it's especially hard for women to do that, generally speaking, but you can do it. You can. You can. Let me know in the comments below if this was helpful. And if you do feel very emotional, maybe wait a couple of weeks and then comment whether this was helpful or not. You know, I'm laughing, but you know, that's because I've already sat with it. When you first come to realize this, there's a lot of emotions that can come up, you know, a lot of self-loathing, a lot of shame, a lot of anger, a lot of guilt and grief as well. And there's a whole plethora of things that could be coming up for you if you're realizing that, shit, I need to make some change, or feeling that a bit like a wall has maybe come up just now. But I felt like I needed to put this out there because I think I would have benefited from knowing that if someone told me that months ago. So hopefully this does benefit some of you, and I hope it gives you some amount of empowerment to realize you can change your life. You just need to understand where you want to go, and you need to be willing to make mistakes along the way, all of which a therapy can help with, but it's not a replacement for actually doing the thing. Thank you very much for watching. If you have been watching, if you still stayed till the end, like if you enjoyed watching this, subscribe if you want to see more, and yeah, comment below how are you feeling? How are you feeling, and what are your thoughts on this? Let's connect and support each other, and in this way kind of keep each other accountable of the journey we're all on. And I'll see you in the next one.